Hey everybody, welcome to FSH Fantasy Sports Show podcast for the week of July 9th to July 15th, 2018. We're talking fantasy baseball. I'm Pete. I'm here with Leland.
Hello.
And Ryan.
Hey everybody.
So how you guys doing this week? What's going on?
It's tons of trade stuff. It's like getting out of hand now.
It's like Christmas, really.
Yeah. Well, before we get into trade stuff, there've been a lot of call-ups and demotions, and I just want to say before we get into the demotion stuff, a lot of these are just because of the All-Star break and teams abusing the 10-day DL to bring up relievers. So, we're going to be reiterating that over and over again, but it's just to let people know that these people are going to be up and don't be worried that they're just going to be staying in the minors. But before we get to demotions, Fernando Romero was recalled for the Twins, and he has upside. I kind of thought he would be a bit more of a strikeout per inning pitcher than he has been, but
He has the potential for that, though, right?
I don't know. I still think he does, and I thought the Twins would be a little bit better of a team to provide more run support and wins, but I still think in good matchups he's worth streaming. I don't know, Ryan. I mean, we've probably mentioned him before as a streamer before he got sent down, but he does have some upside, and he is one of their top pitching prospects.
Yeah, he does. He's got kind of an odd profile because he throws a couple of different fastballs, which is weird. So he's got some potential there. I know he had like a great few games. I think his first game he did awesome. I think it's when he struck out somewhere around I don't know, it was almost close to double digits somewhere in the first or second game. I think second game he had 9. So he's got potential, but again, the Twins have been pretty bad. They're under 500 right now.
I think he had one start where he went maybe one inning, gave up like 8 runs, and if you remove that, his numbers look so much better, but obviously you can't just do that. He pitches a lot to contact, so I don't think he's ever going to be a huge strikeout guy, but like I said, maybe he can develop into like a serviceable 3-4 type of pitcher. And then John Gray was recalled. He's just so frustrating because if you look at his deeper splits, he should be such a better pitcher. His ER indicators are very strong, but obviously pitching in Colorado doesn't help. Yeah. But I don't know if you want to maybe get into a little bit of his deeper splits and why he has so much upside, even though his ERA and WHIP look so terrible.
Yeah, it's really tough because even he came back yesterday on Saturday. He had the game against Seattle. He gave up 1 earned run over 7 innings, had 6 strikeouts. And you look back over his season, he's got, 4 double-digit strikeout appearances, 12, 10, 10, and 11, which is – you don't just have guys who go double-digit strikeouts without some kind of serious potential there. But again, of course, it's the Coors effect, right, the Rocky Mountain way. So he's got inflated ERA because of that, the extra BABIP that he gets because of being in Coors. But the strikeouts have always been there, and not like he's got a wild walk rate either. So it's really frustrating. If you move to a different park – you could see him becoming an ace, absolutely.
And he has the pedigree. He's a high draft pick, and he finished strong in the season, the second half of last season, but it really hasn't carried over. And then now we can get into the demotions, and some of these I think are going to be longer term ones, and some of them are just because of the All-Star break, and like I said earlier. But Willie Adames,
this is your team down there, huh? Or in Tampa Bay.
I know. Well, I'm hoping, like we say, it's just a demotion for the time being. Hopefully he'll get called back up after the All-Star break. I don't think they're going to keep playing Echeverria long-term there. Obviously, he's got 0 or negative upside on offense. So
yeah, but he is a good defensive player, and a lot of times managers will value the defensive aspect of a player's value more than an offensive player is not contributing. But I thought Adames' defense was fine, so I don't. To me, I think the Rays are getting a little ahead of themselves, thinking that they're not rebuilding still because of their record. I think they should just still give their prospects a chance to play every day and see what they can do, like Bowers.
So the Pirates optioned Austin Meadows to AAA Indianapolis.
Mm-hmm. And that's, I don't know, that's looking like it might be more of an extended demotion because of, Dickerson, Polanco, and Marte blocking him from playing every day. They probably feel it's a waste for him to be a bench player when he should see every day at bats. It's just frustrating because he came up hitting so well and then, slumped. But I don't think he deserved this. But at the same time, he wasn't playing every day, so I get it.
Yeah, which made him difficult to roster. But the best he's been lately has been an empty average. So I can understand why they might want him to get a few more reps in the minors.
And we're just going to go through these options very quickly because all of these are just, I think, for the All-Star break, and they'll be up right after it ends. Frankie Montes on Oakland, who, he's been an okay streamer at times. Jaime Barria, I think it's pronounced, on the Angels. He's pretty solid as a streamer, but he doesn't offer anything for strikeouts, really. Joe Lucchesi, another person who's been okay as a streamer at times. Freddie Peralta, he had a bad start in his last outing, but I still think that he's got a lot of upside, especially with strikeouts per inning pitched, and that team should offer run support.
And
Same thing for Shane Bieber.
Sent down AAA.
Yeah, Shane Bieber, he'll be back. Same thing with Walker Buehler. And Luis Gohara, it seems like they're stretching him out to come back as a starter in the second half. He hasn't pitched well this season, but he does have a lot of upside still. And then the trade speculation, we can start getting to that.
Yeah, start getting into that there.
Well, the Astros and Nationals are interested in acquiring Wilson Ramos, and I say that would be huge for his value. Tampa Bay's had a solid season offensively, but clearly those are both massive upgrades.
Also, the Astros, they're interested in, was it JT Realmuto of the Marlins?
Yeah, but, there's also a chance the Phillies get him, the Red Sox.
There's people into it.
He's been rumored to be, an option to be traded before the season even started. So, I mean, if the Marlins are smart, they'll get anything they can for him right now while his value is high. And they need to
I might be giving a lot of credit to the Marlins, but they should trade him, honestly. He deserves a little bit better than that. And he's one of their last valuable assets, really.
Oh, there's one more demotion that I forgot to mention, and it's a pretty bad one. Ken Giles. I heard that he cursed out AJ Hinch, and that's just part of the reason he got demoted. It's not completely based on his terrible pitching. He's got mental problems. He needs help. I think he needs more than demotion. He needs an intervention or something.
Why would you say that? Is it because he hits himself in the face?
It's a lot of stuff, but I don't think he has mentally the fortitude to be a closer. He'll probably end up just being a good middle relief type pitcher.
Kind of the whole Hunter Strickland thing, right? No control. As far as his personality goes, punching walls, hitting faces, all the good stuff.
I mean, Bryce Harper he's kind of a douche, so that I can understand. Oh, and also, it's not really demotion. It's more of, well, I guess it is demotion, but Rich Hill's probably going to be. Do you think for the rest of the year he'll be in the bullpen? Because Walker Buehler, they also want to limit his innings.
It's just an inconsistency thing?
Well,
I think it's going to be at least for a few weeks. I don't think it's necessarily locked in for the rest of the year because they need the rest of the rotation to stay healthy, and they have not done that in their history or lately especially. So it could happen. I think since he's had so many blister problems, it definitely would be easier for him to manage his innings.
Well, they also have Hyun-Jin Ryu, who's due to come back after the All-Star break probably, but we'll get into the injury stuff. Indians are interested in acquiring Adam Jones, which, I mean, anywhere but Baltimore, please.
Yeah, want to unload their players, yeah.
I don't know what happened to that team. They seemed like a decent offense last year, and now they're one of the worst, but that's what happens when you're just trying to hit home runs and you strike out every other at bat.
AKA Chris Davis.
Yeah. With the C, not the K.
Exactly.
Let's see. Oh, the Phillies and Giants are interested in acquiring Familia from the Mets, which, I mean, we've been saying that for a while now. The Mets are going to be sellers, but now we finally have some teams to put to it. And I don't know. The Giants, I guess they're just tired of Mark Melancon. They don't really want to make him the closer again. He doesn't look like he's ready for it, I guess, to them. Will Smith is currently seeing save opportunities. So that seems like a secondary option. To me, the Phillies would be more likely destination because they've been circling in closers the entire season with Dominguez, Arano, and Hector Neris, who's been demoted. So that seems to make more sense to me.
And then also we got the Yankees, Red Sox, Phillies. They all have interest in acquiring Zach Britton, the right-hander from, again, the Baltimore Orioles.
Well, yeah, the Orioles they've got to be sellers. They're, I think, 20-66 or something like that. They're pretty bad. I think this is something we mentioned last week, but the Dodgers still are in talks with Detroit from Fulmer, and clearly, that would be a boost to his value. The Tigers aren't one of the worst offenses in the league, but they're obviously missing Cabrera, and Manny Machado, I mean, what's been said that hasn't already been said. It's just, there's so many teams that want him. To me, though, the best destination would be out of the Yankees, Red Sox, Phillies, Brewers, Diamondbacks, the Brewers, because that would open up a lot more possible fantasy contributors from Keon Broxton to Domingo Santana to Brett Phillips to Eric Thames if they all become regulars for Baltimore. But then also, you have like Alex Verdugo for the Dodgers who could become an everyday player for Baltimore and have value, or maybe, I mean, Miguel Andujar is already seeing regular bats, but if Machado comes to the Yankees, that could kind of complicate that.
Right. I think one of the biggest needs for the Orioles too is starting pitching, so it's really might come down to who offers them some prospects in the starting pitching level too.
So the Dodgers are interested in acquiring Scooter
Gennett,
yeah, second base. I like players like this who got a lot of utility stuff. He can second baseman, third baseman, outfield.
Yeah, but he's not really a utility guy. He's 90% owned, and I don't know. Cincinnati's also looking to re-sign him, so that might not be a likely destination, but it's speculated. And the Dodgers, after not losing out, but Seager going out for the season, they do need more offense.
And especially if they can't get Machado, you're saying?
Right, yeah. Probably Dozier and Asdrubal Cabrera are also in that order, options of, backup options if they miss out on Machado.
Wonder when this Machado things happens,
I don't know. They don't have to wait up until the deadline to do it, so I guess it could happen any day. But, there's a lot of teams involved, so they're probably waiting to see if they can get the absolute best offer out of it. And this is not really related to fantasy, but the Cardinals fired Mike Matheny yesterday, which is kind of weird. I thought they were over 500.
Yeah, it was kind of a surprise move. And like you said, while it's not news on a fantasy baseball player per se, he was very loyal to a lot of the veterans, which was frustrating for fantasy. Harrison Bader's not playing regularly, and he could be a contributor if he was. And Bud Norris, for some people, wasn't a good fit as closer with other people around him. So it's just a situation to keep an eye on. It's one of those factors that could affect playing time.
Well, I know, Fowler probably should have been benched for Bader because Bader's got like at least 20-20 upside, but I don't know. Bud Norris has fine numbers. I don't think he really needs to be taken out of that role. I don't think he'll last in it.
I think the fans are starting to hate him because he's like a bully or something.
Yeah, there was a big article in The Athletic, and he was kind of hazing some of the rookies, including Jordan Hicks. So he's not a very popular player right now.
Yeah,
so we'll see where that goes.
Bud Norris?
Yep.
Yeah.
This is a big story this week.
What's he doing?
He's making fun of, I guess he's like, he's treating rookies really hardly, like acting like he's made it and he knows what he's talking about,
Yeah, but this is the first year that Bud Norris has ever been.
Well, that's what people are saying too. That's like kind of what everyone's sort of been saying with this.
Yeah, what? Take him out of the role. He's all right. Well, by the way, John Hicks, he should be the closer there. He's got better stuff.
Yeah, Jordan Hicks has got
Jordan Hicks
lately.
Bud Norris is just a placeholder. As far as injuries are.
There's a lot to go through.
Not as much as the previous weeks because a lot of these I think are because of the All-Star break. They're just being put on.
Yep, right before it.
Yeah, but I mean, obviously, Eloy Jimenez is still on the DL, and I don't know. I still think he's worth stashing. If there's going to be a next prospect called up with upside, it's probably him, but we're not really at that point yet. Mike Zunino, obviously catcher's at Wasteland, so it's worth mentioning. He's probably going to come back next week. Leonis Martin, I think he was supposed to be activated Friday, but it's looking like right after the All-Star break, as well as Eric Thames, Rafael Devers. They're probably all just going to return right after the All-Star break. And then Kevin Pillar, what was he put on yesterday?
I believe it was today that he was officially put on the DL.
Same thing with VR. They were both put on the DL today, so you could probably expect them to be out at least 1 to 2 weeks. Gary Sanchez is, I think, beginning or about to begin a rehab assignment, so he should be back soon. Francisco Cervelli, the concussion issues are weird, especially for somebody who's had a lot of them. They're talking now that they want to move him to play first base, but that might be a little complicated with Bell there, who's, I think it's too early to just give up on him. Josh Bell is a top prospect, and he's put together decent seasons already. But
Yeah, and
Elias
he's been
Diaz,
improving in average lately, so
yeah,
he
no,
could turn it around still.
he's better than he's been. I think he can at least hit 260. But Elias Diaz, it'd be nice to see him get an everyday chance to be the catcher there.
Yeah, he could be a really solid backstop. Surprisingly, he's played very well in Cervelli's absence.
And they were hitting him cleanup, which is pretty weird for a catcher. There's not a lot of times that happens, unless you're like Buster Posey or someone.
Yeah, which shows they want to get him into the lineup.
Acevel Garcia, I feel like he just came off the DL. He's back on. Yasuo Puig, he's just, he's somebody I know has upside. I just don't really want to ever roster him, but he's, we all know what he is about now. Gleyber Torres, it's looking like it's going to be a little bit longer than just right after the All-Star break, maybe another week. I don't think any more than that. But Carlos Correa is becoming a little weird of a situation. He hasn't even started to do any kind of rehab yet. I don't think he's going to return the week after the All-Star break. It might be even longer than that. It's a back issue, and those can be kind of weird. Albert Pujols, I guess you have to mention him. He still has upside as far as power goes, but he's never going to hit 340 in a season like he used to every year. Cespedes, I don't even really want to talk about him.
I think we mention him every week.
I know,
really
because he has
it's
no
been
incentive to
week
play
now.
anymore. He got paid, and he's just fine riding horses in the parking lot and just doing whatever.
Yeah, it's less injury news and more, hey, Yoenis wants another vacation news, but it's still relevant.
Yeah, I'm so glad they signed him. And then Josh Donaldson is a very complicated situation because if he comes back and plays well, I think everyone's expecting him to get moved, but I don't, this injury is kind of weird. He just keeps having setback after setback, and he is a little bit older of a player now. So,
But he's not an equestrian like Cespedes, so at least he'll be back sooner.
right?
Probably.
Maybe.
He has no.
No, he's just a Viking. He's actually
Yeah.
in that Vikings show, so you never know what to expect from him either.
That's for the hitter ads. As far as pitchers go, we should just mention Ohtani's return, but only as a hitter. I think he's supposed to have.
He's confirmed. Tommy John.
He's supposed to have an exam. No, it's not confirmed. He's supposed to have an exam to see where he's at in the injection process, I guess. But I don't. It's kind of seeming like they're content with just having him as a hitter and not force him to come back and pitch. But they're going to still go through the process of making sure that it's an option. Syndergaard returned. I mean, the Mets aren't going to offer much as far as run support, but go see Jacob deGrom's 4 wins for that. Sean Doolittle, I think he's going to return right after the All-Star break. Same thing with Eduardo Rodriguez. Addison Reed might be on there a little bit longer. And Arodys Wesker, we have it as 1 to 2 weeks, but I'm hearing he might only miss the minimum as well. Zach Eflin, I missed that one. He was put on the DL.
Yeah, he was put on the DL yesterday. So he had some blister issues. It's not looking like it's very serious, but at this point, he was on the DL yesterday, the 10-day DL, so he can return right after the All-Star break.
Junior Guerra, I thought he was going to return right after the All-Star break. That's a little bit more of an extended absence.
Yeah, a little bit. He's got a forearm issue, so we'll see how that goes. And sometimes those can be lingering or lead to more serious things, so hopefully it doesn't because I know he's not too young either.
No, he came up, I think, as like a 30-year-old rookie, so he's probably a little bit older than that now. And he's been solid as a streamer, but he wasn't really anything more than that to begin with. James Paxton, who's already been pretty injury-prone in his career, he's out. Probably 1 to 2 weeks, it might be more. Darvish, and we all know where he's at in his recovery, just not doing anything. And then Corey Kluber, he just received some kind of injections in his knee. Are you hearing he's out 2 to 3 weeks? I think it's going to be more like 3 to 4.
Yeah, I know it's kind of up in the air right now. I think they said after the injection, it seemed like he's listed as day-to-day on MLB's website, but I don't trust that at all. So I'm assuming at least 2 to 3 weeks, could be more.
And then Garrett Richards is done for the year. I mean, it's not even like a surprise to me. He's just so injury-prone.
No.
Should we talk about some ads?
Yeah. Well, Rougned Odor, I mean, he still has upside. Everyone I feel like wanted to just give up on him because of the batting average, but he's had multiple 30 home run seasons. You don't just do that. And he could still steal over 10 bases easily.
Yeah, what's your rest of season projections? What do you got for him?
Well, as far as the batting average goes, I'm really trying to be conservative about it. I think he'll probably be a 250 or under hitter. I don't see him hitting 270 ever again. I don't know about you, Ryan, but
It's kind of hard to after last season, right? I mean, he tanked so hard last season. It's hard to believe in anything but that. But he has been improving over the past few weeks. You can see, in Fangraphs, you could be able to see his rolling averages, and it shows that he's been swinging less outside the zone, which is one of his big problems, that along with pop-ups, like automatic outs. So he's being a little more conservative, which is something he really, really needed. So if he can keep up a more conservative approach, he could hit, possibly 250, but I wouldn't say anything over that.
and also that lineup might get a little bit weaker after the deadline. I don't know who they're trading away. It might be more pitching based that they make moves, but Mikael Franco is another player who's had some decent upside in the past. I thought he was going to be a possible 30 home run hitter. Maybe 20 is a little bit more reasonable, but I don't know. I still think he can hit maybe over 260. I don't know, Ryan. If he gets traded, I think his value might be a little bit better. I feel like the Phillies have kind of soured on him as a prospect and a player.
Certainly seems like it. Yeah, I remember going to one of the spring training games last year before the beginning of the year in Clearwater, and he was hitting pretty well in spring training, but he completely fell off. He's one of those guys that, might benefit from a change of scenery. But then again, some of the teams that have been brought up in trade conversation have been like the Padres. So
Or the Orioles.
it depends on where he ends up going right now. So that could be a big factor in it. Like you said, he's never probably going to be a 30 home run guy, so he needs the average to come up quite a bit to be useful.
And the counting stats are not going to help if you're in Baltimore. Ian Happ, he's a player that I just, it's sort of like Baez in the past. If you could just let him play every day and not have Joe Madden constantly messing with him, I feel like he could put together a decent season. He has a lot of power and also a decent amount of speed, and it's a solid lineup, and he's eligible at multiple positions in second, third, and outfield.
Yeah, he's one of those that's so frustrating because after what he did last year when he had, I think it was like 400 something at bats, and he had 24 home runs and 8 steals and 400 plate appearances. So that's so promising, but he did really struggle to start the year. The past few games, though, it has been some good signs of improvement because his K rate's going down and his hard hit rate's going up. And with a hard hit rate, is the OPS going up. So as long as he can get into the lineup often enough, he has so much potential.
Greg Bird, he has just so much upside as far as power goes. I'm a little worried that if they do make some trades, he might be a part of them, because I'm hearing they actually want to start to try and move Andahar to first, but
Making room for Machado. Are they trying to do?
Yeah.
You think that's
I don't
happening?
know. It's kind of a weird situation if they get Machado. It's going to complicate things for everybody. But Greg Bird,
Where does Torres play then? Second?
yeah, I think only Neil Walker and who else do they have at second? I don't think they really have anyone that's going to be a threat to playing time.
No, Drury is not going to be a threat. I mean, nobody really in the way.
He'll play second. Gregorius, I guess, will be either traded or a bench player because Machado clearly wants to play second.
Or shortstop, rather.
I mean, yeah, shortstop. And then Andahar, I guess, is going to...
Play third?
Yeah, I don't know. It's a confusing situation, but
Interesting.
I'm trying to project Greg Bird out as if there's no concerns with playing time, and I don't know if he's ever going to hit 260, but if he can hit 250 and provide a lot of power in that lineup, the counting stat should be there. And I feel like he's been hitting in the middle of it, not even towards the bottom.
Yeah, they've been trusting him for a while when he is healthy. That's a problem, though. I'd be more concerned about his health than I would be about getting him into the lineup because they really want to get him into the lineup. And I don't think Andujar would overtake him at first base. Obviously, I'm not positive about that, but he's just got so much power potential. Before last year, when Judge broke out, it was Greg Bird, who everybody thought would hit 30, maybe 40 home runs. So he's got a lot of potential.
Yeah, I don't think Andahar is going to take over first. It's just speculative because people are concerned about Machado coming in and playing third, but Machado doesn't want to play third. So I guess Gregorius is really the one who has to be worried about playing time. And this is a little bit more of a deeper league option. Actually, the rest of them will be because Greg Bird is somewhat relevant in 12 teams. But Nico Goodrum, is that how you pronounce it? It's a pretty interesting name.
So. Goodrum.
He's eligible at pretty much every single position except catcher. First, second, third, shortstop, and outfield. He's got a little bit of power and speed upside, sort of like Profar. He kind of profiles a little bit like the batting average is probably not going to be there, and the lineup isn't as good. But, I could think of worse options on the bench in case you really need to fill a spot and you have somebody who can be put in all the, all these different options.
Yeah, he just hit a home run as we speak, actually, against the Astros. So,
Nice.
that flexibility, a little bit of all-around
And that's his
production
ninth.
is awesome.
That's his 9th home run on the year with 7 steals.
How many games
So,
played?
That'll be, I think, the 78th game, or maybe 79th. So that's pretty decent. Max Kepler, I feel like, I don't know, his upside is there. It's just he didn't really put it together like I thought he would. I thought he could hit for more average than he's shown, but he does have a decent amount of power, and there's a little bit of speed involved also. To me, he's like a little lesser version of Steve Souza or something like that.
Yeah, I think that's fair. I think with him, too, what a lot of people don't always remember is that, if I'm not mistaken, he has not actually been playing baseball for that long of his life.
Mm-hmm.
So he's not like came up playing ball through his high school and everything like that into his major league career. So he's still making adjustments, and even lately he's making better contact.
He's
He's
developing
hitting the ball in
still.
the air more. Yeah, exactly. So I think he's definitely a name. You never know when these prospects are going to take their next step, right? It's never a straight line. So
And those
he's definitely
good
someone to
prospects
keep an
have.
eye on.
Yeah.
Exactly. Mm-hmm.
You can get into the next one if you want, because it's somebody that I've seen on prospects list before, and I wasn't really familiar with the name. And obviously now that he's been promoted, I'm kind of like trying to follow him more often. But Jake Bauers, first baseman for Tampa.
Yeah, absolutely. Tower of Bauer outage, right? He's got a little bit of power. He's hitting for a decent average. He threw in a couple steals. He's always had a really good plate approach. So that was one thing that was highlighted in his prospect and his scouting report, is that his hit tool was number one over even his power. So he's got a solid hit tool, and he should continue to hit for a pretty good average. He takes a lot of walks. He's going to get on base. The Rays offense is better than a lot of people thought it would be. I would know, being a Rays fan. But he's got some potential there at first base, and I think he's going to stay there. He might get some reps in the outfield as well, so a little bit of flexibility. I think he's played 5 games in the outfield so far. So he's got a nice hit tool for deeper leagues with some power that's played out.
Is CJ Cron the DH there? He's not playing first?
Yeah, they're switching him between DH and first, and then Ramos, of course, taking over some DH spots when he's not catching, but that's more rare.
And then let's move to the starting pitchers. Somebody who's over 60% owned, but I don't know. I feel like we've been recommending him as a streaming option for weeks now, so obviously he's not owned enough. But Chase Anderson from Milwaukee, like Junior Guerrero and Chacin, it's not really overpowering stuff or great repertoire pitches, but the win potential's there with the offense, and his whip is pretty solid. It's under 1.2. So I don't know if you just want to talk about how he's doing it, because to me, I've been thinking he was going to regress, but he's kind of shown that maybe this is the floor and not just a fluke.
Yeah, it's weird because, you can look into all the analytics and all the numbers, the peripherals, but sometimes people just flat out outperform their peripherals, and that's just the way that they pitch.
Mm-hmm.
There's not always some written, number for it.
Like Marco
And
Estrada.
Yeah, exactly. So if he's going to continue to succeed, it's going to be because of that. Because right now, you look at him and he's a league average pitcher who has a good team behind him, and that's the biggest reason for him being a fringy starter/streamer in most leagues.
All right, so another Ray, actually, Nathan Eovaldi.
Yeah, his last start was terrible, but I think
Yeah.
I think we already had noted that regression was coming, and that what his floor would be is still serviceable in somewhat deeper leagues. But he has. I mean, I always thought that he would get more strikeouts with his velocity. It just never really materialized. I'm not exactly sure why that is. I guess his secondary pitches are not very strong, or it's just the fact that his fastball might be fast, but it's still hittable. But
Yeah, it's a relatively straight fastball. I think is part of it. So it is hittable. I think he's still got the speed there. Like you said, he's thrown over 97 after coming back from his second Tommy John. So he's still got the velocity. That hasn't gone away, thankfully. But I think he also might get flipped. I don't know about you guys, but the second year of his 2-year contract, and the Rays aren't known to hold on to these guys if they can get any value out of them.
He
So
is
we'll see
also
what happens.
somewhat of a younger player with upside, so maybe people still believe in the prospect pedigree and want to invest, and hopefully he can develop.
So next
Yeah,
on our list
exactly.
here, we got Kyle Gibson. He's a guy with a nasty slider we're talking about, right?
Yeah,
Yeah,
I mean, he's getting a lot more strikeouts than I thought he would.
Yeah, he's an interesting player, isn't he? He's not really had a lot of like success to speak of, but until this year. But right now, that slider is just destroying people. It's so much fun to watch. I love, pitching ninja on Twitter or watching these gifs of how pitchers can tunnel so well and get such people to look like complete fools. You know how you just watch a game, and you're like, why did he swing at that? Well, because it looks exactly the same as his fastball until about 10 feet away. So yeah, he's doing a really good job using that slider to his advantage, getting at least about a K an inning, and that's really what's powered his success this year.
Yeah, I thought obviously the Twins are not as good of a team as I expected them to be, but they still I think they'll have a better second half than they've shown in the first, and maybe offer a little bit more win potential. And I did not put this on here. Zach Wheeler. I just think the K's are always there, but right now you should be starting to think about possible trade.
Yeah, I've heard him in
destinations.
talks. Yeah.
Right. Yeah, if he can end up on the Mariners or the Yankees,
Yeah, the Yankees are one of them.
or the Angels, that's going to really help because clearly the Mets are not offering much in the way of run support. But Trevor Cahill, I don't know if you want to get into his deeper splits and how he has such good numbers. Personally, I think they're going to regress, but I still think that he's worth owning just because of the run support and win potential that Oakland's offering.
Yeah, like you said, Oakland's been doing really well for stretches this season, better than most people thought. And Cahill is interesting because he's had stretches of success where he's been really great, and it happened last year for I think 40 or so innings, and it's happened again this year before he went on the DL. He had that Achilles injury, and I actually read an interview one time that said he's realized that if he can just go all out and throw harder for a certain amount of time, he might end up on the DL, but he's going to have really good success when he does go 110%. So he's really been putting together a solid season so far. He's getting a K an inning. He's got a pretty solid whip, just under even 110. So he will have regression, like you said, but he's a low 3 ERAs pitcher with a high K rate, so he's definitely worth picking up.
It's kind of weird you said that because Rich Hill, who was on Oakland, I feel like somebody told him that same thing. Like exactly that same thing.
Totally could be.
Like just go as hard as you can, and if you get injured, you get injured, but at least your stats are going to look good. And then he worked that into getting a deal from the Dodgers, and he can't stay healthy.
At least with Cahill, it's not blisters. I don't need any more blister problems. It's so insane. It's maddening.
And as far as the closers we're about to talk about, a lot of them are more stashes before the deadline because of the possible trades to the relievers ahead of them. But the first one being...
Yeah, so it's Kirby Yates and Padres. Let's talk about some of what you guys think about, like rest of season projections. What do you think for him?
Well, obviously, if Brad Hand is moved, you could see him getting maybe 5 to 10 rest of season. But if he's not, then it's probably going to be maybe 2 to 3. So I'm going to just speculate that Brand Hand is moved.
Sounds like it.
And even though Kirby Yates doesn't have very good career numbers, he's pitching out of his mind right now. I mean, he has a whip under 1, and his K rate is higher than I've ever seen it. I don't know if he can continue this for the rest of the year, but I think even if he isn't seeing save opportunities on a regular basis, he's good just for those statistics.
Yeah, even if he regresses, he's going to regress to like a 2.5 ERA, which is completely ownable if he's going to strike out that many people. So for the strikeouts, as a deeper league long reliever, if he doesn't get the closing role, he's still valuable.
And then from the Reds, the right-hand pitcher, Jared Hughes.
Yeah, I don't know if Raisel Iglesias is going to get moved. I'm hearing that it's
Red Sox
possible.
linked with him, right?
Yeah, the Red Sox want everybody. If they don't get Barraclough, I think Iglesias and then Barraclough are probably the order in which they're looking. But I think he still has a somewhat friendly deal for the Reds, and I don't know if they just want to completely give up on their season because since they fired their manager, they've been hitting really well. Like, didn't you told me what was it, like 2 weeks ago that they were like a top 5 offense?
Yeah, it's crazy. They've been hitting so well, and it's from people that have kind of like shown that they are legitimate, like Suarez,
Shebler.
and Jeanette. I mean, Shebler, yeah. Duvall's underperforming.
Peraza.
If he starts hitting, that's going to be
Billy
scary.
Hamilton's hitting. Yeah. So they do have some people there. It's not a barren lineup. And Jared Hughes, the K rate is not good. It's not that it's not good. It's not very high. It's probably under an inning per, but his ERA, which probably will come down to earth a little bit, is pretty strong. And he's already got 6 saves on the season when Iglesias was on the DL. So he's shown pretty comfortable in the role before. I think, there's a small chance that Iglesias moved, but like with Yates, even if he isn't, Hughes still has some value, especially in holds leagues.
So let me have you guys guess. We mentioned how good the Reds have been performing. Over the last 2 weeks, how high would you rank? What number would you rank the Reds' offense?
Probably behind Boston, so maybe 2.
2, okay. Any other guesses?
Maybe a little bit back from that. Maybe 6.
Right in between. They've been 4th overall in the past 2 weeks in offense.
Who's ahead of
right
them?
below Yankees, Red Sox, Rays.
No, you just threw that in there. Now I see why you wanted to get into this list, too.
No, they're in there, actually. Yeah.
Yeah.
It doesn't hurt, but that's amazing. I don't think anyone would have expected that coming into the season.
Wait, didn't the Rays score 15 runs in like a game a couple days ago?
They had 19.
19
not supposed to be
runs.
twins.
There's no
powered
mercy
by
rule with that? I think at 9 you're probably going to win the game. All right, well, this is somebody who I feel like I've mentioned before in the past, and I just can't completely give up on because of the upside, but Nate Jones, who is currently on the DL, there's a chance Joakim Soria has moved. And, I mean, other than Jace Fry, I don't really see many other people getting an opportunity there to take over. He's always had pretty strong numbers, this health. He's always injured, and obviously he's still injured.
Yeah, and I believe we said he's a little bit older, too, right? He's like 32, I want to say.
Yeah, it feels like he's younger because he never plays, and you just think, he's younger because of that. But no, he's just...
Yeah.
There is less on his arm, but I don't know if he can hold up for even a second half of the year.
Well, even with less on his arm, he's still got, a forearm strain, which is not a good sign.
We already mentioned the possible trade for Familia to either the Giants or Phillies, so the ad next is probably going to, the next in line other than Swarzak, but Robert Gesellman for the Mets, converted starting pitcher, and now he's sort of a multi-inning, not even a long reliever anymore because he's getting save chances. He already has 4 in the year. His numbers are not very good, but this is more for people that are really desperate for saves. And Drew Steckenrider, he's actually shown a pretty high K per 9 upside. It's just his walk rate is a little out of control, and that's going to probably hurt his ERA in the long run.
Right. I just want to go back to Gesellman for a second. I think we should recognize that he's probably the Mets' best pitcher because he has 1 more win than DeGrom. So I'm just
He has 2 more wins.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, 2 more. Excuse me. You proved me wrong.
Yeah,
so
Gesellman has 6, and I think DeGrom is only at 4 right now, even though his ERA is 1.68 and Gesellman's 4.31.
Totally fair.
And that's pretty much it. We've gotten there's a lot of, just as far as the closes go this week, it's just more speculation than really people to go out there and make moves on. But I think we're going to know more after the deadline and who to really recommend. Hopefully we'll be able to get in time before those trades happen. That's why you have to speculate.
So be sure to visit us at fantasysportshelp.com and subscribe to the newsletter. You can find us on Twitter at FSH Sports. Ryan, what's your handle there on Twitter?
I am a baseball big head on Twitter.
Yeah, subscribe to our podcast. It's fantasysports.com. Have a good one, guys.